us here today, please allow me to mention what we do as a creative economy practice. So our first area of work is in research, where we believe in sharing information that can be used to make informed decision making. And through our research work, we've done a lot of exposing how the African culture is looking like, the support the creatives are getting. So our other area of work is in community development and building the ecosystem. You've heard me mention that we do offer spaces for creatives. How many of us here would love a free working space, internet access? How many? By show of hands. How many of us would love a free working space with access to internet? Free working space. Yeah? How many? Yeah? How many? And how many of you do usually host events? However, you never have spaces to do these events, and so you're forced to hire events. How many of us? You're forced to hire event spaces? So this is one of our spaces that we offer for free. So just so you know, we do have spaces to support the creative sector, and we offer them for free. So in case you want to know how you can get to use our co-working spaces, and in case you want to know how you can use the event space, we can offer you a link, and then once you click on the link, you fill out the details, and then you have the room to yourself. I think that's a good thing, right? Yeah? And we're looking forward to seeing you people take up as creatives. This is a chance for you to come and network. It's a chance for you to come and know someone else. It's a chance for you to come and see what is happening in the ecosystem. So I believe by sharing our service spaces with you, you're able to come and network and form more connections and even get to access investment opportunities. And now that I've mentioned investment opportunities, our other area of work is in investment readiness. We do offer trainings and capacity building activities for creatives like yourself. One of our most recent has been Fashionomics. This was a program that we were running for creatives in the fashion sector. And through this program, we took them through months of training, and then after that, they had access to funding and access to financing. So as Creative Economy, we're here really to support you as creatives. We're here to make sure that you're growing. We're here to make sure that you have access to the right sources of training. You have access to information that is going to help you grow. And then you also have access to investment tickets. And now to the agenda of the day. We are here for the CBS, which is the Creative Business Series. This is a networking opportunity for creatives and also a chance for you to have a conversation and listening with your peers, what's happening in the business environment for creatives, what are the opportunities that you can tap into. Some of the people we've hosted in the past for the Creative Business Series conversations. One of them is Dr. Bosun Tijani, who's our very own co-founder of Co-Creation Hub. Another person we hosted is Rimini Makama, who is the director of Xbox Global Expansion at Microsoft. We've also hosted Ibukun Abotoye, who is the executive president of Chocolate City Music Group. We've hosted Natasha Kimani, who is the head of partnerships and research at African Law Filter. And of course, our very own Ojoma Ochai, who is the managing partner at Creative Economy Practice. So with this, I'd like for us to introduce our key speakers for today. I don't want to buy too much time into introduction so that we just get straight into the fireside. Have someone cheer?
Yeah, cheer.
Actually, it's one of their birthday, so let's give them a Thank you for that. I promise that I wasn't going to take much of the time so that we let the ladies share with us their beautiful journey so far, yeah? So please allow me to get into the fireside session. Hello, nice. Hi, Nyokabi.
Hi.
Welcome. How are you feeling?
Great. Excited to be here.
Yeah. Very excited to join. All right. Welcome to the Creative Business Series. This is 5.0. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Let's get right into this. I just want us to start from where did the journey begin? How did you guys start? How was the environment then? How are things looking like then? And what actually inspired you to start? Because maybe you saw a problem that you, or a gap.
Yeah.
Well,
Do you want to go first?
okay, I will. So we started it wasn't intentional at all. At the time, I was in the UK and NICE was in Kenya, and there was a collective or a company called Balcony Arts from the US. And it was a live theater sort of platform because that was during COVID, and so everyone was just trying to find a way to create. and they started doing live theater shows, and they would do it per country. So they would do it in Canada and get Canadian actors and ask them to create something. And then they decided to do something in Kenya. And the girl was Charlie Ouda's classmate back in Lee Strasberg University. And so she contacted Ouda and was like, okay, I want to do something in Kenya. Do you know some actors? And Ouda just contacted people that he knew. And Nice and I happened to be in that initiative. And then during the Zoom party, so we did the performance, and it was a platform where in 1 week they get actors, directors, and writers together and ask them to create something in 1 week and then present it on a Sunday. And then you have a Zoom party afterwards. And so on Sunday during the Zoom party, Nice said, oh my God, you guys, have you ever thought about life in crime as like short films? Like the chapters are like short films. And when she said that, I thought that was the most brilliant idea ever. And so the next morning I texted her, and at the time her and I were not really friends. We knew all of each other.
Really just like not really at all.
So I texted her the next morning and I said, your idea about my life in crime, if you don't do it, I'm gonna do it. So I'm extending the courtesy of let's do it together so that you don't say that I stole your idea. So would you like to jump on this with me? And she was like, yeah, let's do it.
To be honest, one of the biggest changes I think is that we became more intentional about marketing our work, about getting information out there about our work. Because again, as actors, we're not big on social media. We're going to do the online stuff, the what are they called? The clickbait business, isn't it? Yeah. And so we dove into a world we didn't really understand. I call it the influencer world, So the greatest change we made was investing in a marketing company, and also I think having her as a partner was a good thing because she's not afraid about money and she's always hiking the ticket price and I'm like, girl, and they keep coming, and so I think it's also a test to the quality of our work. Yeah.
Okay. And I think also in addition to that, it's interesting to note that our company started during the pandemic. And so the only way we knew how to create was online. And that was our foundation. But also what it did for us, it opened up our minds. Before COVID, we felt like geographical barriers are such a big thing that for me to create with someone in America or for me to create with someone in South Africa, I have to go to South Africa or they have to come to Kenya. But what COVID did for us, it opened up the world. And so our company was built on, what's it called? We didn't feel like we just have to create in Kenya. Our company was built on multicultural collaborations and we've carried that forward, and we're very intentional on, getting to know what are Zimbabweans doing, what are Ugandans doing, and not just closing ourselves within Kenya. And what happened, so our second edition was called Shots Around the World, and we got people from 10 different countries to create, and from Switzerland to, what is it called? Puerto Rico! Oh my God, it was absolutely amazing. And I think what that edition did for us is remind us that at the core of our existence, we are all human beings. Because the prompt that we gave for that particular edition, we asked people, is it possible for you to create from an experience that you're not really familiar with? And what we're trying to do is the whole conversation of white people cannot write for black people. And the works that came out of that edition were absolutely amazing. And I keep saying this, one of my favorites, actually my favorite from that edition was Nice's group. And she was created with an American and a guy from Colombia.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys just go to Shots from Africa's page. I promise I'm not even trying to market our page. But let me tell you, it was a very good piece. And before we just thought, oh no, I have to create with someone. Ati rehearsals ni wapi? Kama niko Nakuru siwezi kuja rehearsals. But then it just reminded us, actually, the irony about this is that during COVID, the world was not accessible, but then it was actually. It opened up geographical barriers in the greatest way possible. Yeah.
For sure, COVID brought a perspective change to so many businesses and so many people's lives. And now that you've painted a picture of some of the challenges that you guys faced, what other challenges were there? And especially now, it's COVID time, things are looking a bit dull. What other challenges did you experience?
So, listen, there's a whole scroll of challenges. I won't lie to you. We can just do that. But the ones that I can pick off the top of my mind was first, just the idea behind having to convince people to buy into this dream of something they've never seen before. We are used to theatre being very physical. We're used to having physical rehearsals and constantly seeing each other physically. So it was hard to convince very talented people that we're not going to make them look bad, you know. Yeah. There was that, trying to sell the dream. However, the other thing I think our biggest challenge was probably, I don't want to say it, but it's an obvious truth, it's funding. When we were planning for this meeting today, we kept on going back and forth about this conversation on funding and resources and stuff like that. But then the more we do this, the more we realize that money is the least important thing. The most important thing is selling value for value. The most important thing is social capital. Thank you very much. Since you told me that word, I'm going to stop talking about it. Yeah, social capital, your networks, and selling value for value. And so, for instance, our most successful show has been Graveyard Queens, and it's because we were very intentional about that. We're intentional about coming to iHub and saying, hey, we can give us space to do our preview and stuff like that. Yeah. So I wouldn't call them challenges, really. I'll say they're quite good lessons that we learned. Yeah.
In terms of milestones,
yeah.
I think I don't even think it's intentional. I think it's just who we are as people. We are very intentional on this. First of all, as a person, I don't believe in a big break. I believe it's the very small steps that lead to that quote-unquote big break. And if you don't celebrate, oh my goodness, we got iHub for a preview performance, you're never going to celebrate. We have a venue to do our show. If you keep looking ahead and you're not celebrating those two small milestones, you're not going to get there. Anyway, that's it. One of our biggest milestones, especially when we started, was having 500 people tune into our very first edition.
Yeah. My opinion of our biggest milestone was Graveyard Queens, because it was the biggest risk we ever took as business people. It was the biggest risk we ever took as artists, considering we were working with people that we have found in this industry, people that we have grown off of their shoulders, you know. And so Graveyard Queens was the biggest one, was the biggest milestone. However, small milestones, I'll say, punctuality. It's a theme we assume Kenya shows don't start on time. And that's why I think someone like MDQ is really celebrated, because blankets, when they say one, it's at one, you know. Yeah. And the same thing with SFA, they will tell you all across the board, please tell it on the mountain, no one will refute this. At 7, it doesn't matter if there's one person in the auditorium, we start the show. So it's the small things that make people appreciate. Yeah. They see that you appreciate them, right? There's also the fact that, I dare say, we got legends out of retirement, you know?
Yeah.
We broke the narrative that, first of all, there's this narrative, once you get on crew as an actor, then you're crew. When you're director, when you're producer, you stop being an actor. Yeah. And it was great to see some of those people get back on stage and show that they still love doing this. There's also the fact that at a certain age, especially for women, it's hard to get work anymore at a certain age, because I guess you're not cute anymore. I guess you don't fit the quote-unquote aesthetics. And it was amazing to have these women of mature age come, show beauty, show love, and just show that they still got their stuff together. Yeah.
So from you two ladies, maybe you could tell us how do you know you're getting recognition for your work? Is it the revenue? Is it the social media milestones you make? How do you ladies as Shots from Africa recognize milestones?
I will jump on that before you say anything.
Okay.
See, the same way we celebrate small things, we sit down and go like, nah, you're sure why you slap. So that's how we recognize. It's in how we feel. Okay? And most times that resonates with the audience. Most times if you feel like, although we are yet to do a bad show, I dare say it. But you know, even when we're doing rehearsals or we are conceptualizing, we're thinking about a marketing strategy, we go through this, we're like, hey, like you just laugh, you know. So I like that we are also our biggest critics. as we celebrate, we don't forget to check each other when we're doing something wrong. Yeah.
And I think we're also very intentional. Or first of all, I think both of us are very in tune with our artistic instincts, which is very, very important. If you're always looking outward for affirmation, whether positive or negative, then that's not a good thing.
For sure.
Because the same way people will build you is the same way they will tear you down. Today you will be like, oh my God, shots from Africa were the best. But tomorrow, we make a mistake, you're going to be the same person who's in fact, and so I think we're very particular on, as long as we're satisfied and our conscience is clean that we have done the best that we could. If you don't enjoy it, and this is one thing I always say, art is very subjective. What you like is not what I like, and that's very okay. You're gonna come to my show, and maybe that's not your thing, and that's okay, but that doesn't mean that my thing is lesser than yours. And so I'm going to continue on my journey, and I think we're also very aware of criticism that is positive and criticism that is just useless. There are people who will come and say, Nyokabi, I know what you're trying to do, but have you considered doing it like this, like this, like this? Then there's another person, you're trying to go up.
We really value the choices we make when it comes to art. So if it doesn't translate to everyone, it's fine. What matters is, again, you see, art, it's like sushi. It's like seafood. If you don't have the palate for it, you don't eat. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and it's an acquired taste. And so you can't go shoving your style down those things.
Yeah.
However, audience is king. So you need to take everything with a nod and a smile. Because if you look at criticism as negative energy, then your mind isn't open, is not ready to be, your mind is not open enough for you to learn anything off of it, you know? Yeah, you become defensive.
Sure. All right, I want us to talk about things. We often hear in the creative space in Kenya about copying, and I use that very loosely. So when creatives talk about my style was copied, my art was copied, my skill was copied, my craft was copied.
We are very happy to inspire, and I think if someone copies you, that means you're doing something dope. Yeah. So, and what people don't realize, you can never actually copy.
Yeah.
Like, you might transfer it, but it's not going to translate the same. Yeah. You're not going to have the same intention, and it probably will even water down the idea. And I always say, at least for creatives, watch a lot of shows. Go and see what interests you. And there's going to be a lot of things that interest you in very different shows. Make note of that. But jaribu. Usiangalie kitu hivi, useme hiyo kitu ilikuwa noma. And then you're like, so hapa haikuwa hivyo, walifanya hivyo. Allow your imagination, allow yourself, give yourself some credit. You don't have to copy, you can be inspired. But come on, give yourself some credit that I love what they did with that, but actually I'd want to switch it up like this. Ooh, and you know what, I'd love to use it differently in this other area. So I think even copying in itself, I think that's not valuing your art. That's not valuing the room that you have for imagination in your mind. So yeah.
However, I'd like to add that also art is one of those things that nobody can claim. You cannot claim a piece of art, you cannot claim an idea, you can't say I'm the one who started doing high school shows. Before Changing Times, there was Tahiti High, there was Beverly Hills 90210, JD. So perhaps we just need to have a fine line, we know the fine line between copy and being inspired by it. However, in a situation where we also don't feel protected as far as IP is concerned, I see how people who are not well versed in the topic would think that anyone who is inspired by them has copied them. Yeah, and as sisi tunawa inspire, that means it's okay. We are here to inspire.
Thank you for that. I still want to, I know the sector is still growing, the creative sector is still growing, so there's still a lot of challenges as we shape up. Let's talk government support. Where are we? How do you feel about government support? Police framework support here. Let's talk.
Personally, I had the impression, oh, government does not. But let me tell you, creatives, we don't apply for these things. We don't go to these offices. We are the ones, I am sure there are very unique cases where you have not been helped, but especially during Ababu's reign, and it's just been how many months? Maybe 8 to a year? And as Nyokabi Macharia, I have personally benefited very much from that government because I am asking, let me finish, because I am asking, and I think that's one thing as creatives we don't do. We're never going for these forums. This week I was at a forum by KFCB to learn about your copyright. Are you learning about your copyright? Or you're just there saying that the government doesn't. Do you know how many competitions that KFC has put out? Are you applying for those things? Or you're sitting there and saying the government does not. Are you going for these forums is my question. And so I've learned to ask. Go to KNT and be like, Mr. CEO of KNT, this is my application. I have been invited to this film festival. How do I get there? If you don't know how to get there, who is the closest person to you who can be able to connect you? So I would say, try and apply. Wacha ushindo useme, hizo vitu mimi ndio apply najuanga wanapeanga watu nini, but apply.
My decline to that question is because of this Serikali's idea.
Yeah.
It's because it's exactly the same, but you have to meet them somewhere. You can't chill in your house waiting for auditions and also waiting for them to help you. It's not going to happen. And I'll tell you this for a fact, this is the first time that I feel the trickle, because in my mind, if you don't feel the trickle down effect, then I'm not sure if it's working or not. I have felt the trickle down effect. Right at the beginning of the year, Kenya Film Commission took us on a Naivasha film distribution workshop. There are these copyright things they're doing. When Nyokabi had to go to Ghana for a competition, we wrote a letter to the CS as KFC. We spoke to the cases, Kenya Cultural Center Director. To be honest, closed mouths don't get fed, right? If you don't go asking questions, if you feel like it's too much or you're too small, then you'll die in mediocrity, So go try, they say no, and then you know what, at least he knows what my face looks like, Yeah, so I think that the government has been extremely helpful, especially this government as far as artists are concerned.
Okay, and can we talk about access to investments in the sector, and especially in Kenya and maybe Africa? If you guys are able to share your perspective from the Kenyan perspective and maybe even Africa, how can they access funding? What funding opportunities, if you're able to share, and what funding opportunities have been put out there that are for creatives and maybe in particular for this sector?
So, you know how I think people in the mainstream business community every week when they're job hunting, they will send emails to companies. Or Google and find companies and say, I'm going to send emails to this company to find out this and that. That is primarily what we do as far as funding is concerned. And so our email, we are subscribed to so many, the Australian government, the British High Commission, to HIVA Fund, so that if there's the Africa No Filter, so that if there's anything out there, then you get firsthand. Also, artists, we do not like looking at emails. We do not look at, we live our lives on WhatsApp. If you don't get a WhatsApp link, you don't go looking for it. So as far as funding is concerned, we have not been lucky, but we have been, my favorite word, intentional about talking to people, meeting them halfway, saying, feed our cast, we can offer you this. But then we also make sure that our back end is clear. We have to know what are our stats. How much money do we make per show? How many eyeballs do we attract if we're going to do an Instagram ad? That way I can tell can I come with this because our post is going to get this much interaction, right? So funding hasn't been a problem, not that we wouldn't like more of it, but to be honest, we find ourselves just doing things, selling value for value, and it works out.
I think also to add on that, find out who's running the industry that you're in. It's not enough to find out that HIVA is an organization that supports creatives.
who in Hiva does what. Where are they going to be? Follow them on Instagram. Or they're going to be, go for that thing and introduce yourself. And it also helps if you know something about what they're doing. Don't just, oh my God, you run Hiva, right? Oh my God, I'm an actor, I'm in Sani. I'm do business in the EV. Have business cards. Say something about what they've been up to. I will listen to someone who's like, oh my God, Nyokabi, I really loved what you guys did with Brave Queens, especially this and this scene, I really loved it. If you're specific about what you like about someone's work, trust me, they're gonna listen to you. Because so many people go to them that have not researched about them. But if you go to Timothy and you're like, I really love that you guys are creating bank products for creatives. Timothy Owase is the CEO for KFC. And you're like, Juicy Liliona, you guys are having a meeting for creatives about bank products. He's gonna listen to you because you have an idea about what they're actually doing. So know what it is that these guys are doing. And on Instagram, let me tell you, every week, we are always sending applications to each other. At least 3.
Yeah, it's true.
At least 3. I have gotten on a producing course and whatever through Insta. Usiende tu kuangalia mapicha za watu na kuwa discouraged in life. Pia angalianga information.
Pia angalia picha tunakuwa encouraged.
Yeah. So angalianga tu information, jua what people are doing, go to those spaces. Place yourself in those spaces because Abel Mutu always says opportunity haitakupata kwa nyumba. Ukiwa umekaa, maji inaisha kukujia. It's you who has to go to those places. And for you to get money, you have to spend money. So don't tell me there's no transport. Look for that transport. Go to those spaces and go and look for those opportunities. Yeah.
To be honest, there isn't a single career. I don't know who is doing one job and making money from his salary and is living comfortably. You can't just be an actor. You have to find other things. You can't just be a musician. You have to find other things. Friend, I started doing event curations. Have you seen I'm doing a better event?
Hey.
You know? So like
happening when?
Happening on next week on Friday. It's only 1,000 bob.
Wananunua ticket wapi?
Kwa till number over Instagram.
Instagram yako ni gani?
Nice Githinji.
Another tip, market yourself, yeah?
But anyway, for real though, you can't survive in any economy, to be honest, with just one job.
Yeah.
You can't survive in any economy hoping that your daily bread is going to come from people calling you for work. Kila mtu anajua. So even as Nyokabi says, go meet people at this place, it's better place, especially if you have a product to offer.
When you think about investment opportunities, I'm sure, or at least in my mind, the first thing that comes to mind is money. But what we had to learn very fast in Graveyard Queens, and I think we're going to apply it later, because I feel like we sort of
learned too late.
We learned it a bit too late.
Yeah.
Those things that you think are very small costs. Oh my God, when you are paying salaries and you are buying lunches and whatever, you will know they are not so small. Even if it's just water that is 200 bob for the cast, if you can get someone who has a business that does water and they can give you that water for free, go for that water. Don't think, sasa hiyo ni ya bili, sasa hiyo hata isaidi, sasa tupatia 150k. Hapa na hapa hujaza kibaba. Get someone to do your meals. Get someone to offer you sound. Get someone to give you what? Props. You will be surprised the amount that offsets. So even as you're thinking of investment opportunities, let not the first thing that comes to your mind be money. Think about value for value exchange, which Nice spoke about earlier. Those are the most important partnerships that you will ever get. Think about social capital that you will get. And don't always be tunnel vision in the sense that, come out to ID production. There's so many people, by the way, that we talked to during Graveyard Queens that ended up, they were like, man, too late, Nini, but we're like, don't worry, can we have coffee? Follow it up. Because you're going to do other things in future. And so open up the conversation such that it does not end there. It's like, and I really loved, there's a guy that we were approaching, and every time I'd give him, so we want to do this and this. I learned something really important from this guy because he never gave me a no. He was always like, that's not possible. However, Nyokabi, can we try you guys coming to market at our place? And that, I feel, for me was such an important business lesson. It's never a big bus. So if they can't give you this, what else can they give you? You know? So yeah, that's what I want to say.
Alright, thanks for that. I want us to talk about Netflix. I know you guys were featured on Netflix. Could you walk us through the journey? Let us know how it felt.
The journey is, if you Google Angelina Jolie, Tom Cruise, nice Githinji on Netflix, you'll find us all. Imagine
End of the journey.
Journey ends.
But talk to us about accessing such opportunities and also how the creatives in the space will make themselves go to global levels. Because I believe such exposure will take you to global levels, even as creatives, whether you're in film or you're in fashion, whatever creative sector, you have an opportunity for you to scale up. And you guys have been able to scale up over time. So just talk to us through that so that we can see more insights into how you got there.
So, my answer is kind of short for that. Why are we all running to make something in the global scale? Can you make your name here and then they're going to pay attention? Otherwise, you're going to run there as a nobody and then start scrounging up for the leftovers, isn't it? So, scaling up, I think, is just a matter of work towards being validated, appreciated, accepted within your communities, you know? And then the rest will come. I can't explain it any other way.
And I think also share your work. You never know who's watching. Share your work and don't wait for kuiva. Unajua creatives, utakuja kwa riaso room. And in fact, one of the things that I think we even forgot to mention with when we started Shots from Africa, we were saying how we are always wanting to perform final products.
Yeah.
And the joy of performance are the raw moments. It's the one, in fact, some of the best ones you will create are the ones that you didn't even overthink, you didn't even plan. You were just like, and then guys were like, how did you think about that? Oh my god, that was like the most amazing piece of art. You're like, bro, we were just there, we were chilling. And it just happened.
Listen, it does sound like a joke, but if you watched How to Have an Affair, the silhouette scene that was a sex scene fast forwarded, this is how it happened. You guys was doing it. What if, and then we started jumping around with Charlie. Like, Nyokabi got a light bulb moving. So it's good to be in a space where you allow yourself to.
So this is not telling this story nicely. So let me tell you the story. So we had a sex scene, and so Nice and Charlie were the ones who were doing it, and I was directing it. And then I knew I didn't want a typical in its own stage. I just thought that was boring. In my head, I was like, it's gonna be a movement.
Plus, you were uncomfortable because you knew your mom was coming to watch the show. There was
But the main reason actually was I just thought that was so mainstream. There was nothing interesting about watching two people. We do that on TV all the time. So I knew I wanted a movement sort of, but I just couldn't figure out what it was. So now, every day during rehearsal, I tell Charlie and Nice, okay, skip through that part. Shall we demonstrate what you guys are doing? Okay. So that's your cafe over there. Who are you going to be?
I'm Nice, you're Charlie.
Okay, I'm Charlie. Okay, guys, let's skip through that part. Yeah. Literally, that was a bit silly. But yeah, so that's what they would do each time we would go through that bit. And so one day we were just like, and it's getting closer to the show, we still haven't figured out. Then I was like, hold on guys. So we do that. They're like, what? This. And then these guys are just like, they repeat the whole thing, and I'm like, that's exactly what we are gonna do. And then I watched, so in a show that Nice was in called Subira, they did shadows. And I wanted to use shadows, and I just didn't know where we're going to get that magical moment in that piece. I think, and these guys, I think they were the best people to execute that. Because again, I don't think you would have done that if you had actors who are like, no, but that's like, that, these guys, Oh God, they were just the best.
Okay. Yeah, I can only tell you about my brand. How I value my brand. We had Shots from Africa organized a workshop when she was in Ghana last this year. And we had June Keshui and Central of Waizaka Katumia. June was coming to teach us about IP. Waizaka was coming to teach us about how to work with our little performer man. June said something important, that everyone needs to have a baseline. Just have a baseline. Because hatuna structures, hakuna guild, hakuna grade A actor, hakuna grade B musician. We can't value ourselves in those terms, in terms of points. So just have a minimum basis or a minimum amount of money that you're going to leave your house for. And June, I remember how she said her minimum is her rent. Akitoka kwa nyumba hiyo gig inamlipia rent, sawa. But she won't take anything under her rent, you understand? So at the end of the day, I think you just have to figure yours out. Hakuna, there isn't a right or a wrong answer. But I like that rent story. That rent story makes sense. How is unaniambia mimi kule June anaishi? Yeah. Mimi hizo ni rent zangu mimi ndio 6 months rent.
I love it.
But anyway, yeah, so just figure out a way.
Yeah. And just to add on that, in terms of copyright, as I had mentioned before, something like KFCB, they put up regular workshops to educate you on that. And did you also know that they offer you free legal advice? They have lawyers for free for you as a creative.
They're litigators actually, right?
Yes.
Because they prefer it doesn't arbitrators.
No.
Because they prefer it doesn't get to court.
No, as in lawyers, free legal advice if you need. And so, going back to that government whole situation, are you aware of these things, of these services that are available to you for free? If you ever got, and I don't know who said this, I think it's Dana said or something, or someone like that. It's more, actually it was June who told us at some point, stop involving lawyers when now, June, not say I'm in show, or copyright, involve them at the very beginning. Stop involving them when you have done all the mistakes you could have and now you're like, Aki tu nisaidie Aki. Ask them all these questions. Can I do this? Is it possible to do this? And so, yeah, be very, very intentional again about putting yourself in these spaces that offer you, find out, research, find out this information.
I'm sure in the journey of your career you've worn different hats. You've directed, you've produced, you've acted.
Merchandise coming up soon.
I like it.
So what are some of the pros and cons that you can share with the creatives in the room for either of those? Because we're seeing a lot of people being dynamic, switching between whatever you started and then taking up different areas. So talk to us about it. What are some of the pros, some of the cons that you guys have experienced in the various hats that you've worn?
One of the pros is that you increase your chances of getting employed. Nice mentioned earlier. Don't just think about yourself as an actor. You have to think about diversifying, whether it's you want to branch out into singing, dancing, whatever. I know a lot of actors are like, mimi actor peke yangu, mimi siwezi fanya vitu vingine. Mimi si influencer.
I just want to act. I have to be naughty.
Well, utashinda umeact hapo, but is the check, unfortunately, our checks are not reflecting the work that we are actually doing in the industry, and so you need to make a decision. You want a certain type of lifestyle, you want to achieve certain financial goals. Is acting alone going to get you to that point? And so diversifying your streams of income is really, really important. And I keep saying, when I went for school, the most basic performer would act, sing, and dance. Here, it's such a triple threat. Only triple threat.
I am one. I don't like it how you're saying it lightly because in the UK you come across.
It is true.
Here we are few.
That's the problem.
Excuse me.
That is exactly the problem. So I'm in a triple threat. Me not act, me not dance, na me not imba. And then you go there.
We are not just a violin.
My friend.
IT guru.
Let me tell you. No, shaka kwani mimi nimebadilika. Hata kwani nilibidi nimeandika kwa CV yangu Afro dance. When you want to what is Afro dance? I'm sure traditional dancing. And then there's because someone there
does tap dance, ballet, jazz, they do salsa, they do the cha-cha dance. On top of that, they play the violin, they play the piano, the guitar, and maybe a trombone or something like that. On top of that, they've done both classical acting and contemporary acting. On top of that, they do skating, they do horse riding, they do tennis. Well, umekuja hapo na acting, singing and dancing. How are you competing with the same person for the same job? And for them, it's like you go with your CV and you're like, oh, I act, sing, and dance. And they're like, and unfortunately, we keep boxing ourselves. Nanile aibuya, learning something new.
Mm-hmm.
But if you keep that shame, because what happens is you master a certain skill so much that it's a bit embarrassing to start being a rookie on another. And so wewe umekatua hapo, mimi master wa acting, wacha tu nikae hapo. Whereas people are learning so much, so don't get comfortable. Don't think because you've mastered acting, that's the pride of it. Go through yourselves. Brené Brown says, she has a talk on vulnerability, and she says, the people who are playing the field are the ones who are putting themselves out there, not the ones who are here and they're saying, mimi ni actor and mimi ni whatever. What else can you do? Find out, experiment. Don't just sit there comfortable in the skill that you have perfected. Look for something else. Yeah.
A pro, I will say, I see from wearing many hats, is being knowledgeable. Because from everything you learn something. And it also taught me how to manage my back end, figure out. Martin Githinji says I have something called hot potato syndrome. Never heard it before. Because I hold on to ideas like, good idea, oh, another good idea, oh, another good idea. And so at some point I never finished everything I started, isn't it? So I like being multifaceted and multi-talented and all these things because it has taught me to be able to manage my time and my money even with all these things, I feel like one of those super moms, goes to soccer, cooks, babies here, making chapati there, Yeah, that's a great pro for me. And the fact that I can sit in any space and be knowledgeable about whatever conversation. I sit in a room with producers, with directors, with actors, with singers, So yeah, I like being very knowledgeable because I think information is the real currency of the world. Yeah.
I must say, not a disadvantage really, but a challenge that comes with doing a lot of things at the same time. Margareta said something when she came for Brave Queens, and she was like, you guys, I want to see you perform. Don't now get into the back end. And she says how, once women go on to directing, we never see them back on stage. And we see, and it's not just women, I think, it's also men. For some reason, again, and I don't want to say this is a Kenyan thing where you box yourself in the thing that you become good at. And you become embarrassed to venture out because there's a lot of criticism with Kenyans. Once they see you, instead of being like, oh my God, interesting. I'd love to see you sing. And come to think about it, you're such an amazing performer. Your music videos would be so nice. And so why is it that the Idris Elbas get to do 1,001 things at the same time and people still celebrate them? And I think, again, we just need to embrace that thing of I can be a director, but you know what? I can still be an actor. But then also our economy, at least the creative economy, is set up in a way that it's a gig economy, which means you go from gig to gig, and that does not provide the space to do something else. You're coming from a show, you go to the other, because the show that you're currently doing has given you just enough money to survive during that time. And so crossing over to, this is a whole other conversation about compensation and how to make sure that there's that continuity. How do I make sure that I can do one gig in a year and the rest of the year I can be able to do directing for a thing that I wanted to do, or travel? Because as artists, where do we get our inspiration? It's from outside. So if I'm traveling, then it means I'm going to create something dope. But our gig economy does not provide for that space to be able to do other things. You just have to kitu inanipatia rent ndo niko hapo, and really hoping and wishing for the day that we don't have to do that. Yeah.
A big con is burnout.
Oh yeah.
I think was it before Graveyard Quiz I had a total mental breakdown. So I think that is the biggest con, just the burnout.
It was actually during.
It was during.
Yeah.
It was during.
It was during.
All I remember is the next day I just kept thinking, thank God I don't have a child. Because going through all that business, the frustration, producing, directing, money not being there, you have to run to the talent studio, make sure the kids at school are okay. And then I keep going, Mommy, I will kick you. Go out to the balcony. God forbid, I will not. But it's that. If you really, it's very easy to burn out. It's very, very easy. And I must say, a big pro for us is that we have each other.
That is very true.
There is such an amazing balance between us. We never invalidate each other's feelings.
Yeah.
It's just, you feel how you feel, it's okay, I'll let it happen, and we listen through it and stuff. And so, it's important to have a Nyokabi in your life.
And it's important to have a nice in your life.
Facts.
I think it's interesting how when I'm hot, she's cold. When you're hot, I'm cold. And even like in terms of how we deal with clients, there are some clients who'll be like,
I know.
oh,
When we did Graveyard Quiz,
oh,
down to
God.
I never twisted in the nice. Because, listen, deadlines were not met, okay? And so they sit down with me and they start explaining all these things that I don't really need to hear. What I need is the thing that we needed for today. Yeah. I just walked away from them and I went to Nyokabi.
Got on to that.
So I read that.
And then I'll be like, what's talk to me? Okay. Okay.
I can't sit still.
And then she's like, so I'm like, so what's happening? Yeah, inakuja. But all this is but inakuja. And then sometimes I'll be like, don't take a video, man. No. They're wasting our time, and then Nice will be like, okay. Then she told Sasa, so we have a very, very good balance. Yes.
And as the co-founders of Shots from Africa, talk to us about the importance of having a structured business.
Very important. You things are too serious and too quiet. We are trying to cheer up by being dumb a little bit.
I think one, as she's saying, it's very important because we are also learning how to structure our business. And you'll find with our first role, like Out of an Affair, we were accounts, we were
costume, wardrobe. At least we had set with money.
That was so impressive.
But we were here.
Yeah. We had everything.
We were lights.
Yeah.
Scenic release, designers.
Everything, yeah. And then now with Graveyard Queens, we were like, higher. First, we're dealing with a cast that is a bit more mature. So you can't just be like, si mkuja tu na nini? Haya. Na wewe, kuna black. Kuja na black.
Kuna vesti ya orange.
Kuja na hiyo. Kuna gani? Si orange, purple. Kuja na purple. So we had to be very particular on even just, they had someone specific to deal with their needs. And on show days, there was a person for each cast member to be like, I'm just here for you. Whatever you need from me, this is what I'm here to do. We had to get an accounts person because now we are paying, taxes, we are paying salaries, and we ended up just having such a big crew that it really was paramount for us to have people who are doing these things and not just being like, tunaweza fanya. Because like without to have an affair, we're like, tukienda downtown, tunabai nini, alafu tuko sawa. But this one, we really had to be very intentional on getting a makeup person, getting a hair person, getting that kind of thing. Yeah.
And also we learned that theater artists, practitioners need to produce as well as filmmakers produce. You have to do all that nonsense that happens in film production. You have to do it. You have to do your pre-production, figure out marketing angle, the photo shoots, what are you going to sell to the people to get them excited. Then you have to figure out the production, which is the show after you open, how you getting people to keep coming. But then after the show is over, how you making people feel like they were part of an experience. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Tumezoea tu show, mnaenda. Shall we demonstrate?
Which one?
You remember the old school photographers? Come here. Old school photographers.
Audio nini?
Audio master. Hebu jifanyeni mnapenda.
Usishate.
Sasa kwa ukiambia kuna ile mahali wanapigana haya. Fanya hivi kumbi, shikilia kumbi. Alafu unajipata MTV. Because that's primarily how we used to do most of the marketing.
Exactly. With that is.
Thank you. Most of the time, that's me, Nikki, joined theater. That's how we used to do our marketing.
Yeah.
With the FCAs and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it was just a bunch of pictures for doing this. Even if there's no wall in that place, you have to do that to make people. You know. So yes, we need to handle theater more seriously.
Yeah.
Run it like a film production.
Yeah.
And at some point, I think if we do that, we're going to end up in a place where we are running shows longer than a weekend. Yeah.
I think I was just gonna add on to her point about curating, and I think this we learned with Graveyard Queens, which curating even you'll find that our pictures were completely different to the show, but the pictures brought you. And then now you're like, okay, so you've got to curate and don't be afraid to be creative about it. It still was tied into our theme, which we are bringing legends back to life. And one of the things we're very particular about, one of the things that got us excited about this show is that the older characters were not written as lifeless. Because most older characters are written as, my son. I loved your mother. Oh, my husband is dead. Oh, Dada. So anyway, all the characters are always written as if they're just about to die. But the thing with our play is that they had so much life and energy, and our photo shoot reflected that. It was, these people were vibrant, even in rehearsal.
Yep, absolutely right.
These guys had so much energy, and we, even as younger people, we were like, I wanna be like that when I'm 60, when I'm 50. I don't wanna be looking like life in Asia and I need. I wanna be like, oh my God, let's go out, let's go for some drinks and stuff like that. So don't be afraid to be creative with whatever gets people into, the show and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And to mention, we had a preview performance, like try out, experiment on marketing. You never know what's gonna work. Where we invited a couple of people to come and watch a scene of the show. Another thing Nice said earlier on during the day is, creators have this thing where hapana tunaficha game. Ndio hakika.
So onyeshe
Usiwaonyeshe. Wacha fiche game.
surprise.
Let me tell you, people like to see the process.
Yeah.
So even one of the things that we do is share our rehearsals, what is happening behind the scenes. Because by the time the show is materializing, then they're like, oh, that's what they were doing that time. That they feel like they're part of the journey, they're part of the process. So don't be afraid to share your journey as well, as difficult or as great as it is. Yeah.
Thanks a lot for that.
Last thing, yeah, people like the human parts.
Oh yeah.
It's the human parts that people like. So you show them trying to make your own breaks, breaking a leg, fixing the leg, and all those things. Then again, it becomes a journey. There's a lot we can learn from Akina Edgo, by the way. Number 7 will shock you. Listen, that's how you get them. That's how you get them. Clickbaits, yeah, because I was reading a research they've done, and they were saying it's a possibility, and it was proved untrue. But our concentration has become so low. So this research was because they were saying that our concentration is almost getting to goldfish level. Do you understand? Because it's the 7 seconds you're gone, 7 seconds you're gone. And so if you want to create a business within this space, you have to move with it. And so number 7 will shock you. Yes, shock
You should do that for the next one.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to allow questions from the room, and I'll just pass the mic around. Anyone with a question, please introduce yourself.
Jambo. Yes, my name is Nyokabi Macharia. I run October ICT, which is a creative agency that does web design, photography, and videography. My question is very straightforward. What is your opinion on AI and the use of AI in the creative field? Writing scripts, and modeling the flow of the scripts and the stories. What do you think of that?
I will say personally, I am for AI for a selfish reason. So I have a two-pronged answer. First is I'm developing an Afrofuturistic show that is with end of the world business that has, imagine, you can steal it, you can do it like like if you ever watched Mad Max, right? And creating that set will cost me so much. So me, I would love to work with AI and CGI to create that world in a believable way, right? The downside is just the fact that the downside to AI is human error. If it's not regulated, then sooner or later it's going to take over even our jobs. But then, if you've used AI, you can tell that when you read that thing, you're like, yeah, these are machine talking. You understand? So I think, listen, things can happen in the world to make our life easier. What is the point of fighting something that will make your life easier? So work with it, see how it can advance you, and then make a decision out of it. Because you'll fight it and then you'll be like the newspapers.
I absolutely agree with that, and I think you've got to find that balance between it helping you and it now just being like, honestly, what is that even? That's such a fake story. It's so plastic and things like that. It's the same way when social media came in and hey, microphone, come on, the thing. Anyway, it's the same way when social media came in and some people fought it and some people embraced it. And now those that embraced it, I mean, look how far they've come. And I know there's a lot of ill with social media, but there's still a lot of good. And so the question is, how do you regulate it? How do you make it work for you? What Nice is saying, if building a set through AI is going to reduce your costs, then why not, especially as an indie producer, that's going to be a lot of, it's measuring, okay, how is this helping me? Is it actually helping me or is it a downside to me? So yeah, finding that balance and sweet spot between what works and what doesn't work.
Mine is more of a comment, the questions will come later. Yeah, so my name is St. Mark. I was, before I came here, primarily a writer. But this is one of my works. And even this, the lady, Afinobas Panasuguta, is AI generated. So you have answered my question, because like I really thought about it. Do I put a photo that someone has taken, or I can use AI? Because I'm an indie writer, self-published. So getting a photo was going to cost me. But this one, the lady the generation had said that we could use it. Now to the comment, primarily before I came here and you have answered me, I thought of myself as a writer because that is what I was very good. A few weeks back I've been trying comedy, but I wasn't sure. Should we go into that? One of my so I had challenged, but I was feeling like maybe not. Writing is a bit of a safe space. So you have really validated me. Yeah, so let me give them time to ask questions because I'm developing my questions.
Thank you very much.
My name is Bosun. I'm a content producer and a story writer. Actually, when you said about government support, my first film was sponsored by the Commission.
There you go. Look at that.
Yeah, thank you. So I have a question for both of you. So the first question is about winning awards. How important is it for an actor or a creative participating in awards and festivals? The other thing is partnerships. I think in Kenya, we don't have much of private partnerships in the creative industry. Yeah, so what do you think, or what's your take
on how us as creative can be able to tap this financial support from the corporate world. Because that's where money is. The reason why Hollywood is making that much huge profit is because of corporate support. So what do you think about that?
I'll answer the last question about the funding and corporate support. So first of all, we are playing on very different playing fields with the Hollywoods you gave an example to, right? They have tailor-made products because they've seen Hollywood and films is a method that is working. But as much as we may think that, come on, we're seeing Idris Elba on a series. Kitambo uliona actor anafanya series akina Angelina Jolie. They were like silver screen ew, but they're all doing series now. And that goes to show that the idea of funding, as far as the industry is concerned, it's shaky all over, isn't it? However, it's important for you to have your numbers right. The statistics. When you do something, how many people see it? Do your eyeballs count? Do your eyeballs translate into money? Do you understand? Those are the conversations you have with bankers if you want to go and get something against your product. The thing about awards, I'll say, they are beautiful in the house. They look really good. Number one. Number two, before I think we had this conversation with you, because I had an argument some time back, I think last year. I'm like, Zinadu. Because ideally I want to win an award, and that says something about how much I will be paid moving forward. I want to win an award, and I want that to say, oh, so now she's going to be the brand ambassador for Kenya Film Commission. You know, things like that. However, the more I get to engage with people internationally, the more I realize how important they are. So apply for the awards if you can apply, just from those ones that we keep paid, like Ilashi awards.
That is true.
Liars.
That is
true. You know? So apply for them. Apply for them if you have to. If you win, that's good. If you get a nomination, that's good. You know, I don't say 12-time nominee because it makes me have more money. But when my resume is seen abroad by an international company, then it matters. So ziokote tu, hata kama huku hazita matter, there's somebody, like she said, you never know who's watching. There's somebody who look at that and it will mean something. Last example I'll give is just on the award thing. 5-6 years ago, I think, I did a film. I have never even watched it. I think I'm in one scene and I'm in the salon about a Dutch boy who gets kidnapped in Kibra. I was paid more than most of the main actors because they just looked at my body of work. It's not about doing a small role or a big role. What is your body of work? So Kenya, your business, it doesn't really matter. Lakini one day it will matter when it's important. So keep acquiring them.
On the thing about looking for funding, one thing that we had to learn during Graveyard Queens, when we are approaching investors, when we are approaching private companies, one mistake we do is go to sell them your vision. They don't care. They actually do not care. They want to know, how is this going to bring me business? So something we had to learn really quick is, how do you tailor your proposal such that this is about you, it is for you? I mean, I just happen to be the person who is providing this, but trust me, this is about you. How many numbers do you want? That's exactly what you're going to get. And so also do your research about the company that you're approaching. Don't just write a blanket proposal, and you can write one proposal that you can alter. And that's what we had to do for Graveyard Queens, which is we had one general one, but for each company, we just be like, oh, so their vision is this and this.
Like mental health, yeah, you know.
So you know our neighbor is just going to blah, blah, blah. And something like, let me even take Talanta Hela. Another conversation about Unamabo Kisema, I'm all about bringing the money to the pocket. Listen to, you'll just be like, You've got to appeal to them, meet them where they are. Don't expect them to be like, that's such a beautiful dream. You have a dream and that's great, that's amazing. You can share that with your family. However, what value are you bringing to that company? And something that we also needed to learn was, how much value are you offering? You've got to be specific, you've got to show the value that you're bringing onto the table. If you're talking about numbers, don't be vague. I want to know that this post of yours, will give me 7,000 eyeballs. And on top of that, something that we did is for our Greater Queens is even create a tier system. That for you, if you're a gold partner, we're gonna give you what? We're going to create a reel, and we're also going to do a post for you on our social media. Not because our social media looks pretty, but because our social media, right, the insights, you have to be very specific. And as Mai said, numbers count. Don't expect people to believe. It's great that your dream is amazing. Don't expect everyone to think the same thing. That's for you to know. And then the other thing about awards, and okay, I'm glad that we're getting to that point where, and again, I'm going back to CS, it's amazing that he recognizes that awards shouldn't just be coming as trophies, it should even be accompanied by monetary value, and that's amazing. And I think awards are starting to mean something in Kenya, and that's such a step forward. And even when we're coming to in terms of like organization of the awards themselves, Kalasha was very well organized last year, and you find that even KFC will be like, oh, who are the Kalasha winners for that? Invite them for this forum. So aside from the money that you're getting, that forum that you're going to be invited to, again, you need to know who's going to be in that forum. Make those connections. Don't just go to big free liquor.
Don't be that creative who's just going there and, okay. Carry your business cards. Know who you're going to meet. Research about them. Going back to get out of the house and meet people.
Who are you going to meet? What have they been up to the past few weeks? Echo that to them and see how they're going to be like, oh my God, she actually knows what I'm about. And for instance, if you going back to the point of international recognition, if you go to my IMDb, it will be like 2 nominations, 1 win. As an international casting director, that means something. If that's on the IMDb, that means something. So I think awards are starting to get that recognition. And if we're talking about, for example, short films and stuff, oh my God, apply for those things. Travel with your work. Travel with your work. I just think as a creative, if you're surrounding yourself with the same people, the same environment, the same, you're never going to grow. Your perspective of things, because what is your work as a creative? We are gatekeepers of a nation, number one, but we are also imaginative creatures.
But we also reflect what's happening in the society, but we also challenge what's happening in the society.
If you're used to the same environment, what are you going to challenge?
If everyone that surrounds you says, yeah, you want to go up,
what are you going to challenge yourself with? You need to be in an environment where someone says, that's actually not how we do this. Learn another culture, learn how other people do other things, and awards will get those, especially for short films, those awards will help you to travel to those places. So, yeah.
Sometimes filmmakers, they make films targeting festivals, and I think that is one of the smartest things that I ever heard about, and we want to intentionally try and do it right now. You go to Film Freeway, you look at, which festivals are not gold, which ones are free, humanitarian awards, let's go to keep right, shoot a short film. So that also helps you get some funding or get your stuff out there.
Speaking as a producer, most of the artists or actors we get, they don't critique the projects we do, they criticize instead. Like most people will come to maybe your show and they will not tell you exactly. They look at the mistakes, the messes you've made instead of, hey, here you could have done better. Instead of, like they criticize your job a lot, making and it's if I am an actor and I come see his film and say, and when we're talking to my friend who's not an actor and I'm telling him his film is bogus, the other person will not come and watch. So we are our own killers of this industry. I would say that without fear. Number 2, I'm not Nyokabi. You put it very well. You say that when you go to Timothy, you maybe look for something that's going to complement or that, like, you know exactly what these guys are doing. Man, I don't know if I go to the wrong offices, or I think I go to KFC and KFCB. Then we go through different doors. but honestly, I've gone to those offices and new people from a PE. And every time I think nilienda hiyo time nikakalishwa bench. A very good, I'm not going to mention names, but someone who has established their names in the film industry came in and went straight forward. Na kapata appointment, na kapata ile kitu ni alikuwa nataka. Na mimi naambiwa aje, mwenye nataka kuona hayuko in that very office. So as much as you're saying that let's do research, these guys also don't care about us. About someone like Mimi Munyesiko as established as they are. Swali yangu kwa kwenu ni, you have very good resume right now. Mimi kangu bado nika page moja, tasijika imejaa page. So that someone like me, okay, let me not say someone like me, so that I can work with either of you, either as a producer or as a director. What, like, you've said that you wouldn't leave your house if the money you're being offered doesn't reflect your rent. Maybe me, my rent is 6,000, and what I'm offering you is I would like you to hold my hand so that I can also reach where you are. So, would you be willing to come to my level, or just because I can't offer you what you have, and maybe I have breadcrumbs, you would straight up say no?
I value myself in being a straight shooter. What I hear from you is a lot of self-deprecation.
Absolutely true. Absolutely.
I have been in this industry since 2003. The first time I got help from KFC was this year when I'm talking about the distribution. But I'm not sitting here saying they put me on the side. I have won awards with them. They took her to Ghana. I have never asked them to take me anywhere. Do you understand? So it has very little to do with holding a hand or being in the industry or your rent being 6K. It has everything to do with how you value yourself. I will say that for sure, for true. Secondly, what you say is what you become. If you believe that Nyokabi is getting this because she has the resume and yours is a one-pager, actually I will tell you, how many times do you apply for things and tell you, hey, send a one-page resume. They don't even want all these many things that we have on our staff, you understand? So the one-pager doesn't matter, the 6,000 of rent doesn't matter. It's just where do you value yourself? When you're told no, do you see it as wamenikulia vako kwa sababu mimi si actor, or you see it as maybe next time you are part with a different angle? You know, it's all a matter of perception, is what I believe.
To add on to that, in order for you to get where you want, it's not one way. There's one of 1,000 ways. And if you're knocking on a certain door and you keep being told no, you can either decide to keep knocking, which is fine also. Consistency is also good. Like they say, utagonga and one day someone will just be like, basi kuja, ingia umekuwa hapa sana. But also, there's other ways, and I think that's something we really have to figure out during Graveyard Queens. And how do you also think and let me say we're not discarding the fact that there's a lot of bureaucracy in government offices. But again, Nice has said something. I also sense a lot of self-deprecation. If you come to me with unajua kisisi hatupeangi opportunities, unajua nini, that's not an energy that I would. No, you need to come with confidence of, listen, I am making some dope stuff, and I'm giving you the chance to be part of it. And if you don't, you've got to move with that confidence. How many no's do you think we've gotten? We've only talked about the yeses. How many things have we applied? The past just 3 months. Just the other day, we got a no email, but we're not sitting here. In fact, what we say, hey, they're lost, man. Even in the way you speak, what you speak is what you become. If you come and be like, even when we don't have funds, let me tell you, we will dress up and we will show up and we'll be like, by the way, we have this product, yeah, and actually we had successes and whatever.
And Nyokabi switches on her UK.
Let me tell you, you have to, the way you carry yourself, the value that you give yourself, that's exactly how people are going to be buying. And I always say, some of the most successful people we have in this industry are not even talented, by the way. Lakini wamejibeba roho juu. Confidence is something really big. Lazima ujibebe roho juu. And I think another thing that we take lightly as artists is branding. How are you packaging your work? Because kuna vile, by the way, kazi yako ni poa sana. But to the, and this is something we had to learn with Graveyard Queens, it's that si tunajua hii ni normal, but we are not expecting you to also. So how do we package it to you in a way that you think this is a dope thing? And if you refuse it, by the way, you've tried your best. So I'll say, one, we are still acknowledging that there's a lot of bureaucracy in government offices. However, don't move with that mentality. Before you step into that door, you've already given up. You already know Mr. Patiwa appointment. Nishajua, lakini wacha tu nikae hapa. Wacha tu nikae, lakini najua sitapewa. So change your perspective, change your mentality, and look for other avenues. Kama hawakutaki ni sawa, they are lost. Go to another person. Yeah.
There is a thing about humility. I don't know if it's natural or nature, just how we are brought up. Nyenyekea, sijui nini. And that doesn't help. That's why sometimes a rich kid is going to get an interview and get the job over me, a chief from Islands. Because hata kama ajui maswali, yeye ako na confidence. Grow up kwa space yake, but you can do it, baby. You're the best, you're a king. Mimi nachapagwa ni kula kwa wenyewe. You know, it's true, like, and your energy, like those two things. Take it into a real quick. Sasa mtu mbabi ameenda amesweep kwa wenyewe, amekula sausage, amefungua fridge, you know, so and I don't know, just energy, positivity is important in our industry. You will die sad.
We'll take the last question.
My name is Nyokabi. Primarily, I'm a UI designer, but I'd say I'm more of a consumer of the art that you guys are putting out. So I'm not giving any questions from maybe inside the industry. Okay, so my first question would be, you've mentioned that research has come out that our attention span has gotten a little bit shorter. And so how are you guys able to cope with that? Because we are seeing that it's really a result of technological advancement. And if you look at 10 years ago, Instagram was the biggest thing. Right now we're looking at AI and machine learning. When we're going a little bit into the future, we're looking at something different that we can't predict right now. So how would you, as a business owner and as a creative, enable yourself and your team to be able to adapt to these new changes quickly and in a way that's more efficient for your product? My second question would be, when we look at what I call mainstream media right now, the standards in the nation, they don't really put out a lot of information when it comes to the arts, and when they do, it's mainly, I'd say, movies from the Western countries. So what changes do you think they'd have to be making so that an ordinary Kenyan that's reading the newspaper every day or that's following them on social media would be able to access your work and actually just know that you're out there? Because honestly, I didn't know about this until today. My friend is sitting here near me and she got to send me.
Ooh, thank you, friend.
She should stand up and say hi. Stand up and say hi. 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 Yeah. So yeah, those are the only questions I have.
What was the first? Oh, because of the attention span thing, got you. So you have to also be sure of your niche, pick your niche, know what it is, and know how people consume your content. So we know for a fact we are theater people. Our shows are long, for sure. There isn't a lot of camera tricks. It is what it is. And so we will do the short formats for the generation that understands just that, when you want to reach them as a target audience. But one of the main things we learned from GQ once again was that we were selling a show that we would have loved our mothers to come and watch. You come and watch with your dads and a family situation. Na tulikuwa social media na mama wachache hawaki Instagram, hawaki hata Facebook, So what we would have done differently is hit the ground and meet the people face to face, go to churches and sell the tickets and sell our dream. So how we are combating it is just using it for what works. The little reels for advertisement, the whatnots, but then we are not going to tailor make our show to their specific attention spans. When you are on an new one, I come. The other question was.
It was about, what was the other question? What was it, sorry?
Mainstream media.
Mainstream media. So, something we actually discovered with Greg at Queens. Starting to think mainstream media is good for digital footprint. Selling tickets, I'm not so sure about that, because how many of you watch TV? Oh, so we sell one ticket if we are going by, and that is if you are convinced by our interview, because sometimes you find that even the interviewer has no idea what it is that you're doing, and they're finding out during the interview, unless you're sending a press kit, which again is another lesson that we learned. You have to tell the media what you want them to see. Some of these people do not do any research. They just be like, there's nice Githinji who did, remind me what it is that you did. This is show I watched when I was young. Okay, I liked it. What was it?
You came to our school in high school.
You came to our school in high school. You're thinking, how are you telling me? So we learned really quick. You spoon feed them with information that you want them to. Tell them what to say. And true to that, after we had our preview performance, the articles that came out, literally copy-paste. Oh my God, Graveyard Queens, Legends Edition, Nice Githinji, and Nyokabi Macharia, and literally what we had given them, word for word, some of those articles. And so I think we also need to get to that point where we are re-evaluating what is mainstream media doing for us. I personally think for theater and for selling tickets, depending on what it is that you're selling, it's good for digital footprint. That when you go to an organization, you tell them, oh, look, we were featured on the trend, and they'll think that, oh, they must be legit if they were on the trend. But selling tickets, not too sure about that. So you also need to be, there's this thing that we do because marketing has been done, ukiingia kwa TV, ukiingia kwa nini, ukiingia, because some of these interviews, you will go there at 12 a.m., no one is watching. What tickets do you think you're selling? So, and I really applaud the Philip Productions, for example, for having a very different way of marketing. Literally going to the road and having, placards and being like, buy our movie for 200 more. I think those are some of the ways we really need to think on more creative ways of selling the tickets, and not just making it look like you guys are marketing. Is it translating to ticket sales? That's the question you need to ask yourself. And that's why Nice was saying, evaluation of your business is very important. Like we'd find, every time we post 3 tickets, 5 tickets, I've gone and you're like, haya, kwa hivyo, watu wanafollow, haya, alafu tukiposti time, people are interacting. When you post this time, so you have to constantly, and Moneki said something on Monday, brilliant host and just an amazing creative, said if you don't measure it, you can't improve it. So if you're not tracking your progress, if you're not tracking your sales, if you're not tracking whatever it is that you're doing, you can't improve it. You can't say, I'm going to come from 20 to 50. First of all, you'll never even know if you are improving. Yeah.
And last thing on that is, mainstream media. Actually, listen, goldfish. Mainstream media. Oh yes. There is a problem that as artists we just record things, put them in our drives, and hope that once we go for a festival or it gets on Netflix, and then people are going to watch it. Whatever happened to making DVD copies and selling these things? Whatever happened to that? Because for the most time, since Nakumat closed down, they used to have that segment where you could get Kenyan movies, and I think it was only one production company that was willing to do this. So when people say that Kenyans don't really consume our media, I say they don't know where to find it. So maybe work harder at reaching the people on the ground. Unpopular opinion, copywriting, what is it called? Piracy is actually really good for the industry. The Mashanis have made money off of this stuff. So for as long as tumeshikilia IP zetu hivi tunangoja ile Netflix ndio watu wa watch, then the more our audience is going to keep on eating up Indians speaking in Kikuyu.
Also, do you know like if kwa masikiza tunes, nani sana sana ukipigianga anakuanga nasikiza tune? Shosho. Yeah. Nani. Watu wa Ushako. Oh my god, they love that thing. Mtu wa Nairobi ajikute akiwa nasikiza tune.
Mimi niko na news.
Sasa kwa sababu ni rafiki yake ameimba hiyo wimbo. So ana promote rafiki yake, but how many of you have skiza tune?
There you go. Not even you, but like not
Anybody got skiza tune? And us, we've made, there's one person who was, so we have 2, okay, so we have 3.
Okay.
Oh, that's really nice. So you're selling to a demographic that's not really interested, they will not be fascinated. Oh, you sing what, sorry? Which genre? Oh, jazz, that's cute, it's really cute. But go to the machinalis, like she's saying, Samido sahi. Samido atoke hapo tu Nyere. Hey, my dear, with a carrot, what is it called? A track, what do we call it?
Roadshow.
Yeah, roadshow thing. Let me tell you, those people will eat it up. But Sasa, we've done it such that our industry is Nairobi.
We all want to sell to Nairobi.
We all want to sell to Nairobi. And if you listen to BN's CTA talk, he talks about how when Lazizi came out, their first album, what's it called? Mwanzo. Hey, everyone is singing Lazizi, there's no thing. Then they go for a Safaricom roadshow when they were doing the Twawezas and the whatever. And now they're going into Meru, they're going to all these counties. And they go for a show and they start. So now they're like, okay, our dream, Nini, our dream, mama, okay, Lazizi Sasa. Everyone is about to get, okay, everybody, let's give it up for Lazizi.
Everybody's
what are you saying though? Then Jimmy Gates comes in. And they were like, hatujulikani. And so, open up your perspective. Nairobi ni poa, lakini you'll be surprised. Enda Nakuru. And how many of you are from Nakuru? Hey, watu wa Nakuru! Look at those stars. Stars shining from Nakuru. Go to Nakuru. Go to all these places. Don't be so tunnel visioned that, I know because our counties tulikuwa wish to tufike Nairobi because that's where dreams come true. However, right now it's time to go back to the roots and just explore outside. You'll be surprised. Yeah.
I think at this point I'd want to thank these 2 ladies for sharing with us your beautiful journey. We've learned a lot and met here. And I know we've locked in some questions, but we allow for those to be taken during the networking session that is right after this. So another hearty round of applause, please, and cheers. We have some writings prepared for you, our dear speakers, for taking time to come and share with us your journey. We're truly grateful. We're also grateful for the the IHUB team for giving us this space. And once again, the space is available for your use. Please reach out to one of the CC Hub or IHUB staff and they will direct you to how you can get the link. And then also to thank the team behind organizing this, Naomi at the back. Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing all these people together. And lastly, to thank all of you for making this a lively discussion. I think we've exchanged quite a lot, we've learned quite a lot, and we do look forward to interacting with you guys again. Check our social media pages for more information. We offer a lot of trainings, we offer a lot of research work that can help in your decision making. We also do a lot of investment readiness, so if you're interested in that, do check out our social site. And with that, guys, let's proceed to serve our food and then come back and network. Within our networking groups, just get to know each other, and you never know, there might be a gift for someone. We'll pick up someone and ask them what they've learned from their mates. So let's proceed to serve our comments. Yes, there's a final comment.
Yes, please. We'd like to welcome you all for our Directors Masterclass right here at the spot on the 29th of September, 28th of September with Caroline Coach Odongo. Karibuni sana, let us learn some things. I would like to invite you all to bring your children and your relatives to the talent studio for only 52,000 for a whole year of an acting class. And then we have another workshop coming in October, still here on producing. So check out our socials for information on that. Much nice.